Brad Williams, Excel primed. How to navigate with your keyboard. It's so simple. Here's just another picture of a keyboard. This is a standard without the numbers on the right. We're not going to focus on that. What we're going to focus on here are the key movements. Here we have up, left, right. And in the previous session, I talked about moving left and right using these key arrows. Here we go. Key, action. Up arrow moves the active cell up one row. Right here, where I'm just going to use this as an example here in the produce. I'm just pressing the down arrow, and then I'm pressing this up arrow. Go one arrow at a time. We have a down arrow. We have a left arrow. So I'm pressing the key. I'm just pressing this arrow, and then I'm going to hit this right arrow. See how it's moving right and left and down. I'm just pressing this down button and then the up arrow. We have a page up, move the active cell up one screen. Now you see here it says page up, page down, depending on the layout of your keyboard. If we hit this page up, well, we're not going to be able to do anything because we're at the top of the page. But let's hit page down. Here's the active cell. Just hit page down. And I hit page down again and again and again. That's 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice how I got back up. I had to hit page up. If I want to get home, see where it says home on the keyboard? Just hit home. Take you over to the first row of that wherever you were. Now, if you hold your control key and hit home, it'll take you back up to A1. Remember that? A1, you can hit the control key and home. Down here is your control key. Familiarize yourself with it. You'll be using it a lot. You also have your alt key, which is also a key you'll be using frequently. You have a control key on both sides. You're going to have a number lock depending on your screen layout. That's important because on a laptop, this is sort of a laptop configuration, but if you have just a standard PC keyboard, you're going to have possibly a number lock over a set of numbers over here. Otherwise, on a condensed keypad like this, you're going to have to determine where that num lock is. You see up here, it's going to be num lock is shown right here. Then you're going to have a scroll lock, and I'll discuss those in a minute. One other important thing here are some hints. Scroll lock. When this is listed, that means there's some importance there. And that means for you on your own to try to find what the scroll lock is. What does the scroll lock do? What does the num lock do? Well, num lock, if you want to set the numbers as opposed to not set your num lock, you're just locking in the numbers on your keypad. In terms of the other identity, F1, F2, F3, those are going to be shortcut keys that we'll discuss in detail. You're going to have your normal keyboard layout, but what's critical here is knowing your control and your alt. Speaking of control and alt, here we have alt plus page down and alt plus page up. When you see this notation, that plus sign, that just means add it together. In other words, if we hit alt and you try to find a plus key and hold the plus key and the page down, it doesn't work. So alt plus page down just means you're going to hold the alt key and the page down. Don't worry about that plus sign. It's just notation. Highlight this active cell. It's hard to see. The alt page down is green. See behind, we have a border here, but you can see the green. Alt page down moves the active cell right one screen. See how it moved right? Here we are in column C, and we hit page down, and it takes us over to column R. I scrolled all the way over to AO just to illustrate this point. We're going to use alt page up, and we're going to move from AO, and it's going to move left. So just note where we are, column AO, and if you're not sure, go back up to the name box here, and that will identify the row and the column. Hit alt page up, brings us back to Q21. Now, what does the scroll lock do? Here we have scroll lock under delete. Here we have the active cell. If we hit page down, You see how the active cell moves along with our movement? If we hit the scroll lock and we hit page down, notice active cell doesn't move with it. If we move to the right, notice the active cell doesn't follow. We want to go back home. If we want to move left or right with scroll lock on, the scroll lock is just optional. You can click it on or off based on your situation. As for num lock, if you engage or activate num lock, then the numbers, anytime you press a number, you're going to enter a number. Again, it depends on your keypad. My num lock is not locked right now, and so it's doing all kinds of stuff. It's moving left and right and up and down, and it's basically following the pattern of left arrow, right arrow, what have you. But as soon as I hit num lock, it adds a number. Now, to change active cells by using the mouse, just click another cell and it becomes the active cell. If the cell that you want to activate isn't visible in the workbook window, you can use the scroll bars. You can always use the scroll bars down here. You can see the left arrow, the right arrow. You can grab the bar sometimes. Sometimes you can move this thing. The older versions of Excel, let me just clarify this. I'm using Excel 2021. You may be using an older version, pre-2019. The layout here will be completely different. Well, not completely different, but if you're using an older version, I was using an older version to about a year ago. I didn't have a lot of these features, and some of these features, I prefer the older version, but you have to move with time. And so if you're using an older version, your worksheet could be completely different. The movement is the same, but you're gonna have a ribbon, but it's gonna be configured possibly different from this. So depending on your whatever version you're working with, the layout and movements could be a little bit different. And navigating with your mouse, I use my mouse a lot. I use the keypad as often as I can because it's so much faster. And rarely do I use this option down here, but it's available. Next, we'll be discussing how to use the ribbon. Brad Williams, Excel Primed.